Hello, and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Monday, 9 June. I'm your host, Daniel, and today we're going to talk about Zelenskyy has said Putin wants the total defeat of Ukraine, not peace. Israel has confirmed they intercepted the Freedom Flotilla with Greta on it. And Italians have voted in a citizenship rule around labour laws. So firstly, Russian President Vladimir Putin is seeking the total defeat of Ukraine and not a negotiated end to the war, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has told a US broadcaster. I feel strongly that Putin does not want to finish this war. Inside his mind, it's impossible to end this war without the total defeat of Ukraine, Zelenskyy said in an interview on the ABC News network. Zelenskyy contradicted US President Donald Trump's earlier comments to ABC, where the US leader said he thought Putin wanted peace. Trust me, we understand the Russians much better, the mentality of the Russians, than the Americans understand the mentality of the Russians. We have been their neighbors for ages, Zelenskyy said. Zelenskyy also stressed the importance of US backing for Ukraine. Only hard pressure from the United States and Europe could force Putin to back down, according to the Ukrainian leader. Then the war will stop. 2 rounds of renewed peace talks under Turkey's mediation have so far made little progress, only yielding agreements on the exchange of prisoners of war, which had already been delayed. So what? This seems pretty spot on. It seems highly unlikely that Putin will agree to any peace agreement without some pretty significant reasons, and these will likely only come through hard pressure, such as extreme sanctions or military force from Ukraine. It's a pretty sad reality, but it seems to be where it is. Russia has made no attempt to make any kind of agreement that could be acceptable to both sides. It seems like a peace agreement is highly unlikely at this point, anytime soon. I mean, things could change. And next, the Freedom Flotilla Coalition has confirmed that the Madeleine, a ship carrying humanitarian aid that was bound for Gaza, has been intercepted by Israeli forces. In a statement, the group said the vessel was attacked/forcibly intercepted by the Israeli military in international waters. The ship was unlawfully boarded and its unarmed civilian crew have been abducted, and its life-saving cargo, including baby formula, food, and medical supplies, were confiscated. Israel has no legal authority to detain the volunteers aboard the ship, they claim. Araf, the group's spokesperson, added the seizure is a violation of international law and goes against the International Court of Justice, binding orders requiring unimpeded humanitarian access to Gaza. The statement said Israel did not have the legal right to detain the volunteers, who are not subject to Israeli jurisdiction and cannot be criminalized for delivering aid or challenging an illegal blockade. So what? I mean, it just seems ridiculous. This seems to be their goal. Anyway, this seems to be the goal of this flotilla, regardless. They knew this was going to happen. This was the whole plan. They wanted to try and make big international headlines by getting intercepted and detained. In reality, they didn't have anywhere near the level of humanitarian aid that would be required to make any form of difference. And there are currently humanitarian groups delivering aid in Israel, in Gaza, I mean. So, it's just all for show. All of these people are just doing this for show. It just seems ridiculous. They were likely risking their own safety and the safety of people who would have had to either protect them or come rescue them had they been abducted. So it just seems extremely stupid. And yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it was clear they were going to get stopped. They knew they were going to get stopped. This was just the way it was going to go. It seems like it was the plan all along. So it's just dumb. And lastly, polls opened in Italy on Sunday in a 2-day voting session for a referendum that could change citizenship laws and labour laws. The vote was triggered by an NGO-led grassroots campaign. According to Italy's constitution, a referendum can be called if a petition is signed by at least 500,000 voters. The results are expected after the polls close on Monday at 3 p.m. local time. Over 51 million Italians are eligible to participate in the vote, but the results are only binding with a 50% turnout. Italy has held 78 referendums, but the results of many were not enacted due to not reaching the 50% turnout reason. So, what are they voting for? On the ballot are several questions related to the country's labour laws, while immigration policy is hotly contested in Italy and is one of the most. It is one that has received the most attention. Italians will be asked if they support reducing the time required to apply for citizenship. That makes it easier for children born to foreigners in Italy to obtain Italian citizenship. Currently, a non-EU adult residing without marriage or blood ties to Italy must live in the country for 10 years before they can apply to citizenship. The referendum asks to reduce that to 5. Campaigners for the change in the citizenship law say that it will only help second-generation Italians born in countries to non-EU parents better integrate into the culture they already see as theirs. So what? I mean, that 10 years rule seems quite long. I think most European countries are at 5 years, so it kind of makes sense that they would try and bring that into line. However, with immigration such a hotly contested topic, it seems unlikely to pass. I have heard that Meloni, the current Prime Minister, has told her supporters not to turn out so that it doesn't reach 50%. So it's quite possibly that it just won't even reach the threshold. And then it also seems quite unlikely that it'll pass with the support for Meloni in the country and the large anti-immigration sentiment currently seen. Yeah, if it was to change, I don't see what, it would just mean there would be more Italians, second-generation immigrant citizens who were Italians, which, depending on how you look at immigration, will depend on how you see that result, I think. Thank you for listening to the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you tomorrow.